I think so. Let me just first start by saying, level up. It's a perfect heading that, you have selected. When I started my journey as an angel investor, you can say graduated. So level up. Fast forward, level up, which in turn is helping corporates. Again, level up. I'll keep using this level up because I like it.
It's a guerrilla marketing. What was your childhood like?
Focus on education. Was the key. My dad was a chartered accountant, he was a practicing chartered accountant. Although, my aspiration was not really chartered accountant. I was actually keen to, finish my architecture. I was very much into it. While I joined KJ Somaiya, in the first year itself, I got an opportunity to join Podar.
Emotional friendship blackmailing.
It was not emotional friendship, but it was that, all of us have studied together. How can we part away? Business investment is, I think so, in our blood. A portfolio which has helped me to, purchase my next residence also.
Wow.
AI, ML, robotics. It's cutting through the sectors. When it comes to even investment in startup, don't invest in one startup.
One positive and one negative thing about today's Gen Z youth.
Negative. They want everything.
Welcome to Level Up, a podcast brought to you by Lakhani Financial Services to level up your knowledge and your skill sets from our esteemed guest conversations with me. Today's guest is going to be Mr. Utpal Doshi, who is a partner at 100x VC and who leads the corporate venture capital arm at 100x. So stay tuned and watch this entire episode to level up your knowledge and your game. All right. Hi, Utpal. Welcome to my podcast, which is called Level Up. So we have started this podcast called Level Up, to make sure that we are trying to bring about good content, value-added content to our listeners, to our viewers, with which probably with our guests' experience, someone like yours experience, vast experience, we can upgrade their knowledge, we can level up their knowledge, we can level up their skill sets, their know-how, and we can add some kind of value with this conversation. Without me introducing, probably if you can just give a quick intro about yourself, what are you doing, something about yourself, what do you do, and then we can, start off from there on. Please.
Sure. Thanks very much. I think so. Let me just first start by saying, level up. I think so. A really good, heading that you have selected for this program.
Thank you.
Level up is, according to me, is not just the knowledge. Level up is, when you actually progress. And when you are moving from one to another, I think so that's basically a level up. And for an investor who's probably starting a journey afresh, or who has started the journey, but who's looking at the next, I think so that is basically the level up. So I think so it's a perfect heading that, you have selected, and, very happy to be, on this podcast, without, much, waste of time. I'll simply say I'm a qualified chartered accountant, same like you, so probably yes, we are, sharing the same table, same profession. But having said that, I started my journey as an angel investor way back in 2017. You can say graduated, so level up. And fast forward, level up, and 2021-22, I joined 100x VC as a partner. I lead the corporate venture capital at 100x. The purpose of corporate venture capital is to help the corporates who are looking at strategic investment. So it's not really a portfolio investment where you are actually looking at top up on your investment. It's not really capital appreciation, but it's a strategic fit into your business. So the purpose is to help corporates identify those kind of a strategic fit, and obviously it's the startup. Help them completing the entire startup investment and post investment monitoring. So I think so what we are doing as a CVC is helping corporates, partnering with startup, investing into them, which in turn is helping corporates in their journey. Again, level up. So
Yeah.
I'll keep using this level up because I like it, and I think so. This is a perfect nomenclature. So I think so.
Great.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's a guerrilla marketing for us for our podcast. Our first guest is being able to use this word regularly. So thank you. That's a great way to introduce yourself. Before we come to what you're doing right now, right, professionally, we're going to do this little bit differently. Let's dive little bit into your childhood. What was your childhood like? What was your probably teenage years and school years, college years like, and what were you like as a kid? Let's go back a little bit in the past, probably decades, couple of decades back maybe. Let's go there.
well,
And sorry, just to before you start, the reason to ask this is because as a profession, what you're doing, you're very well known in the ecosystem, in the startup ecosystem, right? So people know about what you're doing right now professionally, but probably this aspect people are not aware. So the reason is to bring that aspect out, your upbringing, your childhood, etc. So yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So I think let me just tell a little bit about my family. My dad was a chartered accountant. He was a practicing chartered accountant. The culture of knowledge was pretty much there in our family,
Alright.
and obviously focus on education was the key. While I have studied in vernacular school,
okay.
I studied in Gujarati, but that was never a detrimental.
Alright.
The moved from one place to another, finished my schooling, joined college, obviously. Although my aspiration was not really chartered accountant.
Okay.
I was actually keen to finish my architecture. I was very much into it. But then I had two elder sisters, and both of them decided to pursue their own studies. So I was the one. I can say I was the chosen one. I was told that you have the practice, and a son of a chartered accountant generally at that point of time was expected to be a
This
chartered
is how
accountant.
many years back, if I can?
I'll say I finished my schooling in 86.
Okay.
So it's almost 35, 40 odd years.
Okay.
Uh,
Before you come to your CA part, how were you as a kid? As a
Okay.
school going kid, were you naughty? Were you into sports?
I was
What
considered to be a studious guy,
Huh.
but at home I was considered to be mischievous.
Oh.
So obviously, but
Dual.
yeah, it's a dual. But when it comes to
It was same like me, but mine was opposite. In school, I was more notorious, on the notorious side, but I never used to showcase that at home. So mine was thoda.
No, so for me, when it comes to studies, I used to stood number one in my school.
Wow.
But at obviously, when it comes with some kind of a mischievous, some kind of then you start looking at the world outside. Start focusing a little bit less on the studies, and I think so when it came 10th, by the time I realized that my dad told me that you have to become a chartered accountant. So I actually looked at if I have to be a chartered accountant, how much studies I need to do.
As a 10th May, it was clearly put in your head.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I said, I don't have to do much. Then I started, neglecting my studies, so to say, and I did not score that high to get into something like a Podar or HR kind of a thing. But I eventually got into our own college in Vidyavihar. So I joined KJ Somaiya.
KJ Somaiya.
And I think so. I would like to mention an instance because while I joined KJ Somaiya, in the first year itself, I got an opportunity to join Podar.
Okay.
And we have 4 very close friends.
This is BCom.
This was
in KJ.
no. This was
The 11th
so
year.
when I joined Somaiya, it was 11th.
11th. Yeah.
So while moving from 11th to 12th,
You had a
I got
chance.
an opportunity to go back to Poda based on, obviously my scoring. And I actually met the principal out there. I was accompanied by my very close friend.
Okay.
And while we were returning, he said, we are like, we were four, we have studied together since childhood. So I'll say since my kindergarten, so Bal Mandir, the so-called.
Study
And
buddies.
Study buddies. And he said, tu akela jayega, we'll be all alone, three of us, how can you do that?
Yeah.
So by the time from Matunga to Ghatkopar, we reached back, we were traveling by train, obviously. So the whole thing was changed. And, I reached home and I said, forget it, all my friends are here. And, let me just finish my
So it was like
college.
an emotional friendship blackmailing.
It was not emotional friendship, but it was that, all of us have studied together, how can we part away in between? Let's just finish it together.
All the boys, matlab jiske saath
All boys,
pade.
all boys.
Yeah,
And you won't believe, we finished our graduation, all of us started, working for CA. So started preparing for CA together.
Okay.
Two of them. So one did not make it. So he in between only decided that I am more keen to figure out something else. So he did a software kind of a thing. Is doing very well. He is right now settled in Canada. One guy was, he said that, let me just evaluate something in stock market, because all of us were keen on investment.
Stock market.
So he did very well. He is, at a very good position in a stockbroking firm.
Okay.
And two of us continued. So our journey was not really that easy sail through in CA also. Need to give repeats.
And that time, I think CA clearing was very.
It was very tough.
Very difficult.
It was very tough.
This is probably 20 years back you're talking about?
It was almost 25 years.
25 years. I think that time was very difficult.
Yeah,
probably it was 1% clearance in the finals. Then now, though, I think success rates are improving.
It's
passing
improving.
rates are improving.
Yeah,
probably
absolutely.
now it's 5% odd.
Absolutely.
If I'm not wrong.
But at that point of time, it was very difficult. So yes, with the reports, I was able to make it. And then my journey started. I joined a well-known firm called Bansi Mehta. Started my journey over there because I wanted to get into something and I wanted to do something different. So I discussed with my dad also. My dad said that if you want to pursue, you are open, but firm is always there. But when I actually started, my initial days with Bansi Mehta, I realized that, the world outside is completely different. So I started my journey and then kept moving from, one place to another. Got an opportunity to get into a new regulation, the transfer pricing, which was introduced in 2001. So got an opportunity to join PwC in the transfer pricing. But the day I joined, again a funny instance. The day I joined, I was told that there is a need for someone in corporate tax. And you have a experience of working on corporate tax, so you join corporate tax. So I said, okay, fine, let me just give it a shot, because the culture, at a mid-size.
So from there, your corporate tax journey started, which you took on for quite a long time, which your career was predominantly corporate tax transfer pricing.
So that's the whole fun. I did something. So my journey on corporate tax has started from Bansi Mehta. Graduated in PwC, did there for 3 years, but I was not happy because I was constantly interacting with friends in transfer pricing, and eventually I got an opportunity in 2004 to join EY in their transfer pricing team. I took up the opportunity, plunged into it. New regulation, and it was fun.
I have a question here about, I think you worked at PwC, then EY, Deloitte also, if I'm not wrong, right? So before I come to that question, I want to, just draw back again to your childhood years again, right? So, typically when we are with our parents and in our Gujarati family, when I'm a Guju, you're also a Guju. So, there are a lot of strong value systems, etc., that are set in our early days. What were your learnings from your parents, from your, even if it's your best, even from your friend or from your teachers in your college or in your school, which probably even till now is stuck with you as a value system, which you hold very strongly and dearly, no matter what comes your way, no matter what difficulty comes, what situation, but वो एक value system है which is like, you know, pretty strong. Some kind of a learning which you would like to share.
Well, I think so. Learnings wise, you know, it's always a journey. It's a lot of learnings that you have. But one thing I have realized is, you know, never to get fascinated by somebody else's achievement. You know, it's always a learning. So you take the best out of it, but you don't treat yourself to be, you know, somebody
In
who
their
has not
shoes.
been able to achieve.
Yeah.
You know, that's basically a killer.
Yeah.
I've always learned to keep excelling, taking the right step, learning the right thing, what the successful people have done.
Yeah.
But then that does not mean that you are not on the right track. And I think so that was my biggest learning, and that is still there.
Okay.
So, you know, I strongly believe into it and I strongly follow that. I'll never get deviated by, you know, somebody else, you know. Okay, fine, you know, everyone is on, you know,
their
their
own journey.
journey. And I am doing my journey. If I look back, do I regret? That's the whole thing. And I don't regret.
That's
so for me,
very
that's
good.
my motive.
Yeah, that's
and
very
that keeps me pushing.
Yeah, I think that's very well said also. And I think, as you rightly said, right, you can pick up a thing or two from that successful person's book, maybe learn a thing or two, you know, by watching his videos or his content or going through a story. Maybe pick up 2-3 pointers which you can, you know, emulate in your own journey. You know, as a, अच्छा ये step 1 ऐसा कर सकते हैं या ऐसा, you know, what he had done, let's say as a startup, if he was at 20-member team, what he did to go to 100 people, right? What was that one trigger point which led him to go there? So you can do little bit of, you know, learning from that point of his success, but you can't compare. Okay, he's out there, why am I not there or something? That's very well said. I
And learning is constant. I think so.
Yeah.
This is something which I have learned because I've seen my dad, my father, working till 80 plus, you know, before he expired. The same thing I'm seeing in my father-in-law, by the way. You know, he's still working.
Okay.
You know,
He's how old?
75 plus.
75.
He travels by train, by bus, on a daily basis from Andheri to Matunga. So I think so.
From where? Andheri to?
Matunga. So, you know, at this age, full of energy. And I think so these are the things, you know, which keeps you motivating, you know, which keeps you on your toe. That, okay, fine, you know, life is not just. So, you know, if I have to just put it very simply, you know, when you are in a good job, you know, you have a comfort level. You are in a comfort zone. Every first, a fixed amount coming into bank, life is going on smoothly and everything is fine. The moment you try to take a step beyond your comfort zone is where, you know, you start questioning yourself. Am I taking the right decision? You know, have I done right or wrong?
And that is where the growth lies.
Absolutely.
That is where level up happens.
Absolutely. And honestly, you know, and this is my thought process. I think so everyone has their own views on it. But I strongly believe that, you know, when you are doing a job, you know, I think so you are working for somebody else. But working for yourself is the challenge. This is basically the true entrepreneurship. And I think so this is what was fascinating for me, you know, when I actually started investing. But, you know...
So one value system, right, which you said, which your father-in-law, so that I have, for me, it was, you know, my grandfather and my father. So my grandfather recently passed away 6 months back. He used to, till the time COVID hit, I think he was 89, 90 at that point, 88 odd or something, 88, 89 odd, you know, and he used to go walking from Churchgate to Masjid Bandar, right, which is like 40-45 minutes or 1 hour at his age, maybe a little more also.
Absolutely.
He used to go walking daily in the morning at 7 a.m. sharp. Similarly with my dad, who is now 60, and you know, he still goes from Churchgate to Churni, from Ghatkopar to Churni Road or to Masjid Bandar to work, right? That is something which was really inspiring. Hard work, in terms of the hustle that is there, that
Absolutely.
you cannot just bend down for any kind of thing. You have to show up daily in the morning.
Absolutely.
And to go at that age of 89, 90 for my granddad, like it was very fascinating to see that how he's still waking up, same routine daily, the same thing.
Absolutely.
But that's how he could build a certain legacy or an empire under which we all are thriving, so to say, in today's day and age. But that's that is something which is one of my value systems which I come from. But go ahead with your PwC and the EY, that journey.
So I think so. PwC, I did it for 3 years. Moved to EY, spent 10 years out there, almost 10 years kind of a thing. I was focusing on one particular sector, but great learning. I think so. That has actually taught me to be on your toe.
Okay, very fast life, na PwC.
Very fast life, but it's how you live it. It's how you look at it. Do you really enjoy or you are not?
Yeah.
And this is my second learning in life.
Okay.
Is till the time you do what you like to do, you will excel. You will love it. But the moment you start not liking it, I think so your entire thing will get deteriorated. I think so this is what was my best learning. And believe me, as of today also, if I'm talking to someone, I really get thrilled, because the kind of energy, you see people constantly, on a move. I think so this is what I have really liked. But then, obviously, from one sector to multiple sector, I think so this is what I was looking, trying to expand my horizon at a personal level, learning side of it. So I moved and I joined Deloitte, worked there for almost 9 odd years.
This is where?
I joined Deloitte in 2013, so I left Deloitte in 2021.
Okay.
Took a very short stint as a head of tax in a listed company.
Which company was that? Vocard, yeah.
I basically took the role of global head of tax out there. But then what has happened in between, while I was in Deloitte, and I think so this is one instance I really want to quote, that why I moved into the startup ecosystem. So I think so it was somewhere in 2015, and Sanjay Mehta, was the founder partner of 100x.
Yeah.
His son and my son were together in the school, Udyachal, which is run by Godrej. And there was one event where we were together, and I was just trying to understand from him, what are you doing, kind of a thing. And he started explaining me about the startup ecosystem, because he himself is an entrepreneur. He started full time as a startup investor in 2010, 2011. So he was basically explaining me, and I was trying to understand, because see, investment was somewhere, and I think so this part and parcel of every Gujarati. Business investment is, I think so, in our blood. So when you actually hear out something relating to investment, your antennas go up. That okay, fine, this is the opportunity.
It happens even in kabhi train mein also, if we travel, right, and there are 2 other people, Gujjus, who are talking. As a third Gujju sitting on the side, my antennas will go up.
Absolutely.
I'm listening to them.
Absolutely.
I'm Eve listening to them, basically.
No, absolutely. And I think so, the investment journey, and I think I'll take a step back, but the secondary market, the listed market, I think my journey started when I was in last year of college.
Okay.
So I actually,
You started trading or investing?
Yeah, investing. I actually started, something which my friend also. We did it for a year kind of a thing, but obviously, then the journey has to move on. And believe me, it has impacted my studies also. So I'll not shy away by saying that, those kind of a dabbling into stock market, had actually diverted my attention from my core, which I was preparing for my CA. So that also had an impact on my studies. But I think so, having said that, that...
But did you make some money that time?
Yeah, I made money. So not a regret. And, I think so that has helped me to build up, obviously, a portfolio which has helped me to, purchase my next residence also.
Wow.
So I think so this is how any investment journey starts.
Can you tell us something about that portfolio little bit, if not the exact figures, the range?
Yeah, so
when did you invest? Which 2-3 companies did you invest?
Sure.
And when did you sell, which helped you to buy
Sure.
your residence?
So I think so when I was in last year of college, I think so that was around 1991.
Okay.
It was a euphoria of IPOs.
Yeah.
And
I think that time only Dr. Manmohan Singh was the finance minister and all the liberalized. Dr.
that was
Manmohan
not.
Singh, no? Liberalization and everything
Yes.
happened
So
91,
1991 was the time when good as well as bad IPOs came.
Acha.
I was fortunate to have some good stocks in my portfolio, which I applied in IPO. Those were multiplied also. And I think so, it was around 2000, it was around 97, 98. Before I got married, we decided to, take a new residence.
Okay.
And I was like wondering, what is to be done. And my friend, who was in stock market, he said,
Acha,
Utpal,
the childhood friend.
Yeah. So I said, let's just buy this thing and let's just dump everything.
All in you went in that
So
stock.
I just liquidated my portfolio and bought a flat, and I was very happy, when I did that, because I realized the value of compounding at that point of a time, but
This
simultaneously,
was your
how
own
your
money
investment.
without taking any help or any
Absolutely.
other thing from your
Absolutely.
family, from your father or someone.
Absolutely. So yes, obviously it's a joint investment.
Thoda
Obviously,
contribution.
everyone was chipping in. So we did that, and I think so. I again started the portfolio. So that investment journey,
Which stock
continued.
was it? Do you remember that 1990?
Yeah, I think so. 2 or 3 stocks I
were
distinctly
they?
remember. One was 3M India. At that
That's
point
still
of time,
there?
it was Birla 3M.
Okay.
Grasim was there.
Okay.
And I think so a couple of others, Sterlite and all those stuff
Okay.
were there. So
How much X return did you make over that?
I have never calculated those kind of X return. My intention was very simple, am I making enough money, that without taking any kind of a loan, I'll be in a position to buy that, and I was able to buy that. So I was happy, doing that kind of a thing. But that investment journey started at that point of time. Now
That Kida had started building
Yeah.
in 91.
So fast forward 2015, when I was discussing with Sanjay, I was actually trying to understand what is the whole startup, what is angel investor, and he cautioned me, Utpal, you are in a day job, okay? Startup investment is a very risky proposal. Unless and until you are ready to lose your 100%, I will not advise you to get into startup ecosystem.
Mentally ready,
Yeah.
you need to be.
So then I said, okay, and obviously going back to your comfort zone. I have my job. Why should I?
Family,
It's a hard-earned money.
yeah.
Why should I lose it? Kind of thing. But I started then reading about it. What is happening and all those stuff. And I think so. It was 2017 when I asked Sanjay, I want to get into startup ecosystem. I want to also invest. So then he introduced me to his group. At that time, it was called CIO Angel Network. It is still there, but dormant kind of a thing. And most of the CIOs, the chief information officers, and I was the only person from the finance background. But yeah, it was a good journey. I was like happy to understand how they are evaluating startup, and did some investments along with them. But that journey as an angel investor started somewhere in 2017.
2007.
I kept looking at it, kept engaging myself. But then again, a lot of people were used to ask me that, Utpal, what are you up to? What is this all? And they also wanted to understand. But obviously, everyone wants to be in that comfort
So this
zone.
time in your family, who all members are there? Like how many members?
So 2017,
16,
17, myself, my parents, my wife, and my son. My sisters were obviously married, way back.
Okay.
So that was the thing, and
So five people. You
five
had a
people,
family
and
to take care
took
of.
a little plunge. But fortunately, the kind of secondary market investment had actually also helped me in buying my next residence. So I think so. I understood the whole concept of value investing. How you make multiples. How you use it. But then, when it comes to angel investing, I understood that this is something which is a very risky proposition. I need to be very careful. And I started building my portfolio slowly and steadily. So it's not that, you just go all out and, put your money, because a very caution word which Sanjay has told me, and had kept it in my mind that you cannot go wrong. Obviously, you can't control the situation, but
There are
yes,
many
obviously,
people
yeah.
in this.
So it's more about learning and
And
understanding.
I think 2016, 15, that it was more about, I mean, startup ecosystem in India was not matured that
Absolutely.
it is today.
Absolutely.
Right? I think that time it was very early, and people were still, discovering कौन सा startup में डालने का, and what is a startup also people did not know, what kind of tech is going to come people did not know. I think that time only Flipkart was there, Myntra was there, Ola was there, probably Oyo, if not
Oyo
very
had
big,
started,
but
yes.
probably
Oyo was
Oyo
there.
had started.
Absolutely.
So these were few big company names that were doing the rounds, and I think e-commerce boom had just started. And
Just started, absolutely.
Just, stuff like that. So during this period, you were still at Deloitte.
Yeah, very much.
So run us through the culture at these big fours, and what did you pick up from these these years that you worked at the big fours, and probably even at Wokhad after that. What did you pick up from there? What is their culture that they have built such big practices, such big organizations that you learned, and which probably today you are trying to apply with your portfolio companies also?
So, PwC, I think so, it's my initial stage, and I'll say
young.
that it was just understanding the organization, how it was. But when I moved to EY, what I understand is the energy. I think that's what I'm saying. When I look back, I still get that kind of a thrilling.
Okay.
Or that kind of energy, and fortunate to work with people with the same energy.
Okay.
Not just the senior level, but at the junior level, those interns who are basically part of my team, and I'm still connected with them. But I think so, energy, your ability to accept the challenges and work on it. And relentlessly, I think so. The relentless is the word which I'll basically put it along with.
I think what I have heard from my CA friends, EY, PwC, there, I think the work, that is there, that is like too hectic. Probably it goes on till late nights, 12, 1, etc. There is no time of coming back home. So, did you learn that whole hustle thing or that thing from these companies?
Absolutely. So when I joined EY, and obviously during the season time, we call it a season time, spending whole night in office, or sitting till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the night, go back, have a little bit of sleep, get ready and come back to your office. I think so that was part and parcel. But barring that, during the year also there used to be a constant thing. So it's not that you don't have, but it was a mix. And I think rather than it's on an organization side of it, because organization is how it is operating. It is more about us. Are we ready to take it or not?
Yeah.
Do you really enjoy it or not?
Yeah.
I'll not say even accept it. Accepting could be, something where you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Okay. It's more about do you enjoy it or not? And if you enjoy it, I think so. Any moment. So at my initial level, I was at a junior level. From there, obviously, when I moved to a senior level, the journey, the transformation happens. You keep passing on the work. You have your juniors to do the work execution, and you have to keep, strategizing,
planning and
absolutely.
strategizing. Yeah.
So that was basically how it happened. When I moved to Deloitte was a cultural transformation.
Okay.
That was more people-centric kind of environment. There was the life was slow. Okay, let me be very honest. What I have seen or what I have lived in EY was I'll say it's a complete 180-degree change. I was looking at the other side of it, where there was a respect for people, there was a respect for time. People were. It was an easygoing kind of a thing. So yeah, this is what was there. You have to respect people. You have to respect what they are doing.
Which
You
did you
cannot
enjoy?
be constantly on the go kind of a
Which
thing.
did you enjoy more, Deloitte or EY culture? And
I think so. It's a mixed feeling. Let me be very honest. But looking at my own self, I'm
from
a
your
guy
personality.
who's like constantly on the move. I cannot just sit idle. I do spend time with myself and for myself religiously.
Okay.
But having said that, when it comes to doing something new or work, I like to hustle. I like to run around, and I'll not shy away if I have to. As of today, also, if I have to work with somebody who's like just a graduate, I'll be running and working with them throughout. So this is what I loved it, and that's the reason if somebody tells me that between those, which one would you like? I think so. Both were having their own pluses and minuses, but it's again individually. So individually, considering my kind of a nature, I will say I loved my stint at EY.
Okay.
Better than
Little bit better than
yeah,
Deloitte.
Deloitte.
Okay.
Deloitte was very nice. Means I'm not saying
I
that,
get
but
it, yeah.
it's the kind of me myself.
What blends
who
in
loved
your
it.
own personality
Absolutely.
little bit more.
So that was me, and I'm still running. So I will not say that
Yeah.
I'm taking a break. I'm still running.
So I'll tell about myself, right? When so I have not worked in a big four after clearing my CA, and I never wanted to. Actually, my perspective was always that as much as I had heard from a couple of seniors with whom I was doing articleship and all, that big four and all these Deloitte, EY, PwC, there you get into a specialization mode. Okay, if you are into transfer pricing, you will get 2-3 companies which you are predominantly going to work on for at least 2 years, 2.5 years, or whatever, 3 years, something like that. Right? It might be a little bit here and there, but this is what I had heard from people around, right? And hence, my objective was not to probably, get into any kind of a big four. So this is, I'm talking about pre-articleship actually. I didn't want to do articleship in a big four. So I went into a mid-sized firm where I did my articleship and tried to get to learn about the entire CA work that we do, from audit to taxation and stuff like that, IDT, DT, sab kuch. Everything was included in there, right? Assessment, all the stuff. I mean, transfer pricing, we had a few cases, at least in our firm. So I got a hands on all those departments rather than doing specialization. And then after articleship, and once I was when I was clearing my finals, I never wanted to get into practice. So my thing was practice. When I did an articleship, I found it a little boring. वही audit same company का 3 साल जाने का, you have to go visit them, same books you have to see, same
Correct.
journal entries, same
Correct.
vouchers, everything same. So I found it very boring in my articleship, which did not excite me to take up practicing CA, any kind of a thing in a big four or mid-size, or do my own practice, none of that. So I was getting more intrigued in stock markets, as you were also in your college days.
That's in our blood.
So I was getting more intrigued, and I wanted to deep dive into that rather than just do an on and off trading kind of a thing. I wanted to get into that kind of a job or that kind of a role altogether, where you do research, where you get to learn more about companies, meet promoters and stuff like that. So my investment journey started from there. Uske pehle, I had never literally invested or traded much into stock markets. Before I actually started a job, and before my interest started generating in stocks, in research, in fundamental, I was never into technical analysis and all. So fundamental, being a CA, right? Numbers, balance
Absolutely.
sheet, P&L, यही ज़्यादा
True,
समझ में आता है.
true.
So that is how I started my journey in finding a job in equity research and corporate finance, and slowly, steadily so I was always into core finance, which slowly, steadily led into the startup ecosystem and investment banking and stuff like that. But so go ahead. Then after 2017, what shaped up?
Yeah, so I think so 2017 I started this thing. What was happening is all these things, and all this while, my wife, she is a backbone, I think
Okay.
so, and
Great.
I think so my entire transformation Starting from my PwC days, or I'll say not PwC, even Bansi Mehta days. I think so till now. She has been a backbone and she has been a strong support for me for any decisions that I have taken in my life.
Okay.
She herself is a chartered accountant,
Oh, wow.
and she's obviously, our area was different. So while I was focused on tax, she was focused on audit. So then to that extent, you can say that घर में भी, those kind of हमारा वो नहीं होता था कि tax के लिए there will be some point and we will be
Discussion and all that.
yeah, so I think so, but yes, it's on a lighter note, but yes, we used to have our own set of debate and understanding, but obviously that was basically.
She was in which firm?
She started her internship with her dad only, which is Ladwal and Shah. And from there, post marriage, we also realized that doing a routine practice is no fun. So I think so both of us were there in my dad's practice for some time, but then we decided to move out. Yeah. So she was basically focused on internal audit. She did with Anija Associates. She started with that, and then she moved into corporate. So she spent almost, I think so 7-8 years, odd years with Reliance Communication before she moved into Kalpataru Limited, where currently she is basically heading the internal audit for Kalpataru Limited. Yeah.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
So I think so. She's been a backbone, strong supporter, and I think so. I own a lot to her, for my whole journey, and I think so. Not to forget, my son. I think so. He is a very strong supporter, and I think so. Both of them have supported on my decision making. So, when I actually take a step forward and fast forward 2021, when I was contemplating that okay, fine, if I continue in job, 58 years, 60 is basically your retirement age. What's beyond that? I cannot start something afresh at that point of a time. So might as well start early. Can I do it? And I was contemplating that idea. Again, went back to Sanjay, and I asked him, Sanjay, what should be done? So he said, Utpal, you have experience of working with corporates. You know how they do it. You know their business practices and everything.
Yeah.
You have also invested in startups, so you know how startups operate. What value addition they can give. It's time that we bring both of them together.
Okay.
And that's where they had started the whole corporate venture capital. Now that was again, one-off at that point of a time. It is still, one of
very new and
it
rare
is still
to
one
hear.
of.
I don't think anyone else is doing. If I'm not,
no one is doing it as a
proper full-time service or a offering, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So while the journey of 100x was started on CVC at that point of a time, but he said, Utpal, if you want to lead this, why don't you join us and lead the corporate venture capital? So obviously, I was not part, and I'm not part of the normal investments which 100x makes into a startup, because that's a different journey. My journey over here was basically that I have to work with corporates, identify. So I have to do a lot of discussions with corporates. I have to understand, what is their investment thesis, are they interested in investing and engaging with the startup ecosystem or not? Understand that, take it forward from there, and, get into those kind of an engagement, which is, we don't call it an engagement, but we call it partnership, because it's a long-term thing. Any investment that anyone makes, irrespective of whether you are a corporate investor, whether you are a VC, or whether you are an angel investor, any investment that you make in the startup ecosystem to grow and to show its real outcome, it takes almost 3 to 4 years. So that's the reason we said that we are getting into a partnership with corporates, help them build up the whole thesis. We work as their extended arm. We do everything, so the entire heavy lifting or front ending is done by us. We go out in market, search for startup based on their thesis, create the entire investment thesis, interact with the investment team, because each of the corporate will obviously have their investment team.
Right.
Create the investment thesis, discuss with the ICs, investment committees, Once a decision
So
is
you
taken.
set the IC team and the investment team.
We
for the corporate?
don't. So
Or they already
corporate will have their own thing. We
Achha,
don't
they
get
already have
into,
it.
because we are not the decision maker. See, ultimately the decision maker is corporate. Our role is basically to get
Advisor.
the curated startups before them, create the investment thesis, tell them that what is right, what is wrong. But ultimate decision making is by them. But once they take a decision whether they want to go ahead or not, then we again get into the action. Depending on the due diligence is to be done, whether they want us to help them or they will take it.
On their
The journey continues, but we front end on the deal negotiation because startups are much more comfortable discussing about it, with us as compared to corporate, because there's always a fear, when you are interacting with corporates, what's the
They're
intent?
giants. What's the intent?
What's the intent kind of a thing. So I think so that they are very much comfortable, and we do those kind of negotiation.
yeah,
But I think so it's bringing both
It's a
of them
blending
together.
of both.
It's bringing both of them together. They basically take their decision of what is the kind of investment they want to make. Once the decision is done, investment is done, we help them in monitoring the thing. And when we say
Achha, you
monitoring,
all do that.
so monitoring not just the investment that they have made, but monitoring the entire ecosystem. Because what is
That
happening,
industry, that sector.
what is happening, what is the new theme that is coming up, but which has a synergy with them. So,
Yeah.
like I can give you an example, like, something like Pidilite with whom we are working. Now, if we identify that there is some new theme which is emerging, which has a synergy with what they are doing, then we bring it to their attention and we tell them that, okay, fine, this is something which is upcoming. Would you like to, look at that? And if they say yes, then, we'll basically identify those things. So this is something which we are doing, and I think so.
So what is Pidilite, since you all are, I think, officially partnered with Pidilite, right? What is their thesis currently? How are they, and what kind of amounts do they invest? How much time does it take? Can you run us a little bit through their?
So I'll not talk about the amount, because amount depends on the stage at which at which journey a startup is. I think so that is something which is internal to Pidilite. But yes, we help them in creating the thesis. So I think so the thesis runs around their core business. Okay, and anything which is basically a subset of their core, we actually help them creating their entire.
So what is their core
pillars.
business? One is Fevicol, which is there.
Yeah.
What are their core
So
business?
adhesives is basically their
Adhesives.
core. Okay. Now imagine adhesives will be used where. So when you say carpentry, when you say some kind of toys, when you say some kind of crafts, arts and craft, when you say something relating to contractors or interior designers. I think so. We basically had a long discussion with them and created those theses, which are very much there. It's mentioned on their website also, Pidilite Ventures. So everything is mentioned in terms of the thesis, what is the investment they have made, and everything is listed over there. So we help them in doing that, and our journey still goes on. So there's a dedicated team who's working constantly for Pidilite. Their role, their job is to identify relevant deals. We want to work with limited set, but we want to give the value add. So similarly, when we started with our discussion with Panasonic, our initial thought was basically that how they are going to look at it, where they are well established globally and all those stuff. So we started discussing that how do we engage, and that thought process actually translated into their team came down from Japan.
Oh wow!
We had a kind of meeting, discussions and everything, and we said that okay fine, if you are basically contemplating an idea rather than doing a direct investment, first let's just understand how the startup ecosystem works in India, whether they are able to deliver to our expectation, our kind of use cases.
Yeah.
And then we can take a decision whether we want to partner with them, or probably we may end up investing into them. But the thought process was more from the business integration, and we actually partnered with them. We actually started the whole program called Corporate Innovation for them. We are running that program, which is currently live also.
So this is a service that you're providing to the
Yes.
corporates. And you all charge from the corporates without getting into specifications. That's
Absolutely.
a service model that you all are working
Absolutely.
on with the corporates.
It will not work because we are not the decision maker.
makers.
We are enablers.
Got it.
So we are enabling them to take the decision. We get them the right thing, decision is theirs. Okay. But having said that, there has to be synergy between both the teams. So both the
Very
teams are constantly talking to each other.
Yeah.
And the journey is basically taken from there and onwards. That okay, fine, each of the team talks to each other, understand what is happening, what is not, provide each of them with relevant information, clarification, work together, and create the whole journey. So I think so. This is something which is going on.
How does very intriguing question which I have after you mentioned the CBC also. How does Sanjay Mehta sir, he gets such innovative ideas, and he does little bit of a breakthrough kind of a concept which is not there in India before. Something with safe notes, that he introduced, in India with iSafe, which you guys
Absolutely.
are doing at 100x, and you all are pioneers in doing that.
Absolutely.
Or there are templates on your website which anyone can download, and then it is becoming useful for so many people, right? And then now with CVC also, and probably many other 2-3 things he would have done which I'm not aware of. But how does he come up with these things? Like what has been his exposure, and how does his mind function in that aspect? कि यार कुछ
Obviously,
नया है ये, मतलब
I cannot deep dive into his mind, but I think so. His thought process is completely different. I'll say I'm very I like the way he thinks. He thinks out of the box.
okay.
So I think so. When he started his journey as an angel investor, he realized that early stage startups are not really being focused upon or not supported. And I think so that was the time when he actually started developing the whole thought process. It took him a time to implement the whole thing. But yes, he had actually decided and did it. So I think so he is really a workaholic.
Okay.
When he identifies something, he really works upon it and makes it happen. And the same thing is with the CVC,
Okay.
where he realized that okay, fine, this is something which is required, which is not there in India, and any corporate cannot live without it. Because imagine a corporate, who is basically trying to do some kind of a new product innovation. What will happen now? If I have to really put it in a layman's language, if a corporate has to do innovation, you have to set up an R&D center, you have to have the relevant team, you have to spend so much,
Yeah.
but without knowing the end result.
Yeah.
So imagine the kind of infrastructure, the kind of money that you will deploy as a corporate in finding out something which you really don't know what will be the end result. Okay. Now imagine the same scenario in a different way. A startup who has identified that okay, fine, there is an innovation which is possible.
Yeah.
A startup may be 2 or 3 people, or at max 5 or 6 people.
And more on the feet than a
Lean
corporate.
team, lean capital, outlay. Those basically
Fast decision
startups
making.
either are bootstrapped, they're using their own fund, or probably trying to get some kind of a grants or something, but creates an innovation. All right. Now imagine the innovation that they have created, which can actually disrupt the existing business,
Yeah.
which is done by corporate, or it is probably boosting the existing business of a corporate, which corporate wants to do it, right? So those kind of a thing. So both need each other. Means I'll not say that
Yeah,
it's only corporate who will need startup. It's a startup also who will need corporate, because corporate has a wherewithal. They have the network, they have the money, they have the
They have the
infrastructure,
resources, they have everything. Yeah.
So why not bring both of them together? And I think so. This is what we discussed.
But they don't
sometime
have
back.
innovation,
Absolutely.
and they don't
So
have
it's-
that fast decision making
Absolutely.
with this.
Or a
startup
new
kind of
market, because with the innovation there is a new set of market, there is a new set of consumers.
fast. Yeah.
There's a new set of requirement.
yeah.
Now, if you bring both of them together, it's a win-win situation. And I think that was the whole idea behind CVC, and that is what we are currently also are on our journey. You know, we are doing our kind of a work, you know, probably trying to dissect each of the sector, identify, you know, what are the startups doing, what are the trends which are happening, and you know, what is the investment opportunity for corporates out there. Because yes, startups are doing their job. It's more about corporate who is supporting, like government is doing their job. Government is actually trying to support, you know, the whole startup ecosystem by creating various programs, giving them grants. But while startups are contributing to the economy, and they'll continue to do it, it's the time for corporate also to recognize them. Identify, you know, what could be the possible partnerships, how they can work together, and how they can contribute to their own business, because they have to grow. So both of them have to grow, but simultaneously support the economy. Because, you know, if you have a target of reaching a milestone, if you have a target of reaching the 5 trillion, you know, economy, it's not just the corporate. Now it's the new set of entrepreneurs called startup entrepreneurs who are also going to contribute. I think so. This is the whole, you know, thought process, and that's the reason why, you know, we are doing.
Any example that you have in your portfolio which has been invested by Pidilite or by Panasonic that you guys are working with, just you know, which you can probably tell a story to our viewers.
So I think so. We are very clear. Okay. We don't co-invest with corporate, and there are various nuances around it. So I think so our thought process is very clear when we are even discussing with any of the corporate, that we are not going to co-invest, because that's going to create a hurdle at a later stage. And you know, even corporates understand that. So we don't co-invest. While that is the case, if a corporate believes that, you know, there are you know, some of the startups in our portfolio who can, you know, create some kind of a synergy, you know, there is a possibility of business integration, our portfolio is open. Our portfolio is transparent. I think so each and every details around our portfolio is very much present on our website. So our portal has
but has Pidilite Ventures
if they, that's what I'm saying, they have not yet done it, but tomorrow if they believe that, you know, there is a possibility. So see, there are two parts again to the investment done by corporate. One is obviously a portfolio investment, you know, which is more towards, you know, earning that capital appreciation by investing in a startup portfolio. One is a strategic investment. So while we focus on strategic investment, if the other part of the corporate, you know, who is basically more like a treasury management, and if they believe that yes, there is an opportunity to make money on it, and which is by investing into startups where we have invested. So our portfolio is open. So they may end up investing in our portfolio company also, along with, you know, their other investment. So that's a possibility.
So there are multiple companies, like we had pitched to Make My Trip for one of our travel tech startups that we were advising. Right, and they have a proper separate investment team which is doing strategic investments for Make My Trip, which is into not like similar businesses which are coming up with new technology, new innovation, and in a extended, like it can be like an extended arm for Make My Trip as a whole parent company. So there are multiple companies who are having their in-house teams already, you know, doing
looking at it.
Yeah. So like Make My Trip, multiple other companies would be having, right? So what is it like? I think Wipro has a separate fund itself. You know, I think there are family offices which are being set by big companies, their promoters and their families. So what is the difference between the two, and what is the role then, you know, if those guys are also having their internal team who is scouting, who is doing due diligence, etc., you know, what kind of differentiator can happen when you guys come into the picture?
So I think so, as you rightly pointed out, I think so let's just understand what is the role of family office versus what is the role of, you know, their innovation team.
Okay.
The role of family office is basically to manage the treasury. Okay.
Okay.
They are basically looking at return on investment. I think so that the KRA is basically return on investment. Okay. So they'll invest into a startup who they believe can, you know, produce, let's say 2x, 3x kind of a return or multiplier over a period of time. And that is where their probably promoters or, you know, promoters family fund which gets deployed. What happens with the innovation team? Now, the role of innovation team, and I think so, as you rightly pointed out, I think Wipro and to that extent, multiple corporates have their innovation team, people, sitting within the corporate. Their role is basically to identify businesses, and I'll not just simply say startups, because, when we look at innovation in a larger context, okay, broader context. Their role is basically to identify business who are creating either the synergies or who are basically creating disruption or who are creating some kind of a new innovation which may be very relevant for the corporate. Now their role is to identify this kind of an opportunity, and when I'm saying this opportunity, it is more a strategic investment, because here it's not the family office, it's not the promoter's fund, but it's the company's own fund, because such kind of investment done through balance sheet.
Yeah.
So all these investments, when they are done, they are actually reported on the balance sheet of the company. So it's on balance sheet investment, which basically goes into such kind of a business, including startup.
Okay.
These are strategic investment, and this is where we do the value add. So from when I call CVC's role is basically to help such kind of work with such kind of an innovation team or such kind of a CVC team. Because they are called CVC team, corporate venture capital, because that's basically the nomenclature, that's the arm within corporate who will look at such kind of a strategic investment.
Got it.
Our role is basically to work along with them. But yes, when it comes to family offices, I think our portfolio is open. I don't think so we have to do any kind of a discussion. They need some kind of inputs. We give them inputs regarding our portfolio. But the decision they take it, they'll take a decision whether to invest in our portfolio, whether to invest anywhere, and whether in a GP structure, LP, or not a GP structure, but LP structure, whether they want to do a direct investment in whatever shape and form they want to do. So that's going to be different.
Okay. Tell me something about your social media game, right? I went through, we did some research on it. So you're quite active on LinkedIn, right? And what I noticed, one thing in your all the posts and what you are posting, right, the content is about various industries and the kind of thing that CVC can play into that, right? So what is your intention, and what kind of message that you want to try to spread with your LinkedIn or any other social media handles also that you are present on? How is that come up over the years? Like, were you always very active before, or you've just started posting? What is your journey on social media been?
So Devansh, I think so. Let's just look at it. I think so. Why we use LinkedIn? It's more as a professional network. But now I think so. The scope has gone beyond professional network. It's more about disseminating information and relevant information.
Right.
What I have started, and the purpose is basically, and I'll basically tell you why. There are multiple corporates in India. Okay.
Yeah.
There are corporates who may be having a turnover of 500 crore. There are multiple corporates who are having a turnover of 100 crores. There are multiple corporates who are having turnover of 5,000 crore. Each of the corporate, their intent or their aspiration is move to the next.
Correct.
Again, level up.
Level up.
500 crore person wants to go to 2,000 to 5,000 crore. 5,000 crore wants to jump into, the big guys, the league of 10,000 crore. 10,000 crores has the aspiration of doing something different, Each of them need some kind of, so they probably may or may not have the wherewithal to
the bandwidth. Know-how, yeah.
Either to do some kind of an R&D by themselves, that's one part of it. But they also have a financial muscle. So they do have the financial muscle, but they're struggling with the idea as to how to do it or what to do it and in what shape and form. And obviously there's one Indian mindset which always works by saying, if it's a risky proposition, we really don't know whether we should be investing in it or not.
And I think so that is with a corporate culture. The hierarchy is so, so long and so, time consuming, that decision making in itself, to go till the top, it absolutely. Just
So
get
based on
started?
our discussion, Devansh, what we have identified that while they want to do it, but there's obviously some kind of a roadblock. It's not a roadblock, but some kind of a resistance which is coming up. And obviously that resistance is they really don't know, the kind of value add or, how it will work out for them. So I think so they are really, they're restricting themselves. You can say they're sitting on the fence. What has happened on other side, the big guys, they have understood this thing. Because this phenomena, what we are discussing as corporate venture capital, is not old. It's probably 4 decade, 5 decade old when it comes to other developed companies. Now, if you look at USA, this concept is something which is prevalent since the 70s or 80s, where the biggest like Intel and everyone, they realize that who are basically people who can create some kind of a disruptive innovations. Let's just invest into them. Let's just take them into our fold. It works two ways, you have an access to the new technology, new development, new innovations, but simultaneously you are in a position to eliminate potential disruption also, because obviously it's a selfish motive.
Correct.
You have to basically safeguard your business. I think so. This is something which was very much prevalent out there. The big guys have understood this game. The same thing is currently happening, and on a no-name basis, I think each and every big corporate has their innovation. Each and every big corporate is investing into startup ecosystem. Okay, what is happening is there is a vacuum. On one side, you have a corporate who are basically investing into startups. There's one set who's still in a dilemma, because I have money, I have a power, I can do it, but whether to do it or not. And there is another guy who are still saying that we don't have the money, we want to do it, but we don't have the money, how to do it. I think so the purpose of CVC, or the purpose of we creating all this post around each and every sector, because innovation is going in each and every sector, disruption is going in each and every sector, and we are witnessing it. I am not saying that there is nothing. You name one single industry, one single sector, and I can give you 10 examples of innovation happening in that case.
Yeah, true.
The question is more about embracing such kind of innovation. Who are the people who are creating this kind of innovation? Just help them, just partner with them, work together with them and do it. Now our purpose is basically identifying such kind of a thing. We are not promoting any kind of a startups who are creating such kind of a disruption. We are not even naming any kind of corporate. We are not promoting. Our job is basically to talk about the sector, what is happening in India, what are the trends, both in terms of a technology or different, what is going to happen in future, and the areas in which there is a possibility of investment. That's it.
Yeah, that is what you're putting in your post also.
That is what we are basically trying to pass on a message to both. Means it's not just about the corporate, it's about the startup also, because they also know that there is a possibility that tomorrow if we want to approach someone, some corporate operating in our area, then there is a possibility. There is a possibility to partner. There is a possibility to work with them. This is basically what is the whole purpose, and that is the reason why we are running this post.
Got it. I read your post on agri, I think drone, health, and a couple of more. Which is your, I would not say favorite, but a sector which you really feel where CVC can pick up in terms of corporates? Which sector do you feel is, as you rightly said, right? All sectors are doing something in innovation.
Absolutely.
And everyone would need it. If they're not doing it today, they will need it tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Right? But as per you today, which is the most the most favorite? I'm just putting, for lack of word, the term favorite. But which do you feel sector which is in need of CVC, or is going to embrace CVC the best in the fastest manner?
Okay. So let's look at technologies. I think so with the advent of AI, ML, robotics, it's cutting through the sectors.
Okay.
So there is no single sector which is not impacted by the technology. So I think so that's a green field. Any of the sector will need it. What I believe strongly is the manufacturing, the industry 4.0.
Okay.
Or industry 5.0, let me put it differently.
Yeah.
Why? While we have manufacturing historically the kind of processes that we have seen are historical processes. We are still running on certain, historical processes which has its own gaps. Startups who have basically figured out that there are these gaps, and you can make the processes more efficient, probably able to give better production, better result, is something which is happening. This is something which is need of the day also, because I cannot keep working with the same kind of a manufacturing setup, same kind of manufacturing processes which are 40 years old. There has to be some kind of innovation, and there are innovation. This is where I see if the manufacturing sector has lot of potential, because even now sustainability is triggered in, even now ESG has triggered in, and all these things which are not really I'll say technological requirement, but which are the regulatory requirement, which are the global requirement. Now with the net zero stepping in, each and every manufacturing is working towards net zero. So if government is pushing you to net zero, you don't have a choice but to move towards it. How do you do that? This is one area where I see lot of potential. So personally,
and there are many, I think, climate tech, sustainability startups that are being born on a daily basis, like multiple startups with new models, different models, etc.
So to name, like the program that we are running for Panasonic. No, it's on energy management.
Energy management.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the startups who are basically working on energy management solutions or systems in commercial and industrial area. Residential obviously is there, but commercial and industrial area is basically what was the first theme that we are running on the corporate innovation program.
Oh, okay.
So you can understand, the concept is changing, but the concept is changing, it's relevant for whom? According to me, this is one sector, this is one area. But barring that, there is a green field. You say enterprise, SaaS, or you say AI, ML, robotics, drones, anything and everything has lot of applicability. Now drone, I cannot say that drone is only going to work in agriculture. Drone is going to work in industrial area, drone is going to work in defense, drone can work on transportation, logistics, everything. So imagine a single product, a single innovation is working in various sectors.
Got it.
So rather than saying that which sector, I think so I'll probably look at the idea and see the reach, whether it's relevant for one sector or whether it's relevant for multiple sectors, because that's where you see the growth. And if I am an angel investor, as an angel investor, obviously I'm looking at the growth of my startup. So if my startup has various I'll say various parallels, or various approaches or various ways in which it can work, then probably that's basically, for me, it's a growth initiative. So I'll look at those kind of a startup from investment perspective as compared to something which is probably just one area. I'm not saying that they are not the growth drivers or they are not the growth enablers, but the kind of reach that one startup having multiple ways of connecting versus one startup who is working only on one set of idea will be different.
Okay, would want to get your views on financial management from your experience, from your because you've taken multiple choices and swapped jobs, moved to different corporate companies, and then now with this. So how important it is for you in terms of financial independence, having that financial planning and management, which made you strong enough to take that decision, okay, now I can switch to something which I might not be as stable as that job something, but it made you give that confidence that okay, this is something that I will be able to do it without having that worry about money or that financial, right? Because you have a family, right? So coming from that background, what is your take on it? At a personal level, how do you look at?
So I think at a personal level, I think a very relevant question. At a personal level, you have to ensure that the life that you are living, you were living when you were in job, it not just continues, but it improves, and that's basically an aspiration. Now, having said that, you have to really work towards it. How are you going to continue it? Because when you are actually moving out of that comfort zone, you are doing away with a lot of stuff. It is basically like going back to zero and
Yeah.
starting from scratch. Okay. When I actually took that decision, I had to literally sit with my family. You know, my son, my wife. We sat together. We understood. What is the kind of effort that is going to take. There will be a lot of constraints. Honestly, are we okay? Living that kind of a thing.
That comfort or that
Yeah,
luxury,
that comfort.
little bit.
So one, obviously ensuring. So obviously they also need to have a comfort, and I was also confident that we are not going to deviate from that. So what we are leaving, will continue. But yes, obviously there will be some kind of a constraint which will come up.
Little
And
adjustment.
are we okay with that or not? And I'm like, I'm very thankful to both of them. Both of them have wholeheartedly supported me. Not even a blink of eye, or not even a questioning as to how it is going to be managed and all those stuff. Personally, at times, even I started, feeling that, am I on a right track or not?
Doubting,
I'm
self-doubt.
yeah, because see, it's an entrepreneur journey. It's not that every day is going to be very good.
Rosy.
One day is going to be rosy, one day is going to be completely down, and at that point of time you can start, and it's very natural.
That can hit, yes.
But
hits.
they have always supported me that it is fine. If you have decided, and if you know it, it's more about working on it, keep working on it, and making it to the best. And I think so. This is where. But yes, financials. I think so. You have to ensure, and while I have taken a plan, but as an investor also, if anyone who is basically taking a decision to invest, I'll again go back to what Sanjay told me, that it's a risky proposition. If you have that kind of a comfort and that kind of a courage to absorb the blunt or the burn that you are going to face when you are investing, then you can make it. Otherwise, don't step it. So I think so. My take is, please ensure that you are not deviating or you are not putting all your eggs into the same basket. Or try to spread it. When it comes to even investment in startup, don't invest in one startup. Invest small. That's okay to invest small amount, but invest in various startups so that tomorrow, if something goes wrong for one, rest is still survived, and something out of that will actually recoup something which has been lost. I think so. That's the common analogy across the ecosystem. Whosoever is investing, be it an angel investor, be it family office, or be it a VC. I think so. Everyone runs on the same thesis, same parameter, and I'm no different. I also work on the same basis.
But you have to take risk, right? Whenever you are investing and whenever you are planning something in terms of money or finance, you have to take that risk, right? Like what you have been doing in startups. And just before we shot this, right, what you were telling about your portfolio companies. So that is a massive risk that you would have taken.
Absolutely.
Even if it goes to, as Sanjay sir said, from 100 to 0, you are supposed to be in a capacity that you can bear that without, having drowned into any burden of sorts.
Absolutely.
Right?
And I think so. It's a religious a process. You cannot just say that, okay, fine, I'll invest in one, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I think so. It's a religious process. It's a constant process of investing. You invest one in 1 year, or you invest one in a 1 quarter. That is okay. But keep investing. Unless until you don't have a portfolio, it's not going to help.
Yeah.
So that's basically, you can say, downside of investing in startup ecosystem, that you cannot.
Yeah, this what you said, right? You need to keep investing. This I think I had learned in my first job, which I'd got after CA, and I had started doing mutual fund SIPs. And that is something as SIPs, right? It is going to be every month. It is going to be deducted from your bank account every month, right? So that habit had started. From there on, that you have to keep doing it.
Absolutely.
To create that compounding impact over a period of 10 years. First 5 years you might not see anything, but 10 years, 15 years, you will see something. Whether it is stock markets or startups.
Anything.
It will compound, and that you will see that massive impact. Probably you cannot see it today. You can just try to visualize, maybe by, as you said from your story, right? In 7-8 years, you could literally sell that portfolio and buy a home for yourself. So it's that beautiful how compounding
Absolutely.
can work.
Absolutely, it's
Or-
a value investing. A very simple thing.
Value
Like when you invest in secondary market, we call it a value investing. I think so. The same concept is over here, but in a different way because it's the risk reward ratio can work anywhere. And it's unlisted. So I think so. People, when they actually take a decision to plunge into it, they need to look at each and everything and then take a wise decision. Don't just have a FOMO effect that okay, somebody is doing it, somebody has earned out of it, so let me also do it.
Correct.
Without having
Without
a
studying
complete thought
Yeah,
process.
I
I think so.
agree.
This is something which is a crux, and everyone needs to follow it religiously.
Otherwise, FD and gold is there. All right, Utpal, let's move to the rapid fire. That's our last segment
Sure.
before we wrap up. All right, so first question, be quick, be rapid. All right, so first question, what did you do with your first salary?
I think I just deposited in the bank account. I think I invested in stocks. Let me just be honest with that.
All right, great. Love or arranged marriage, what would you prefer if you were to marry today?
I really have no answer. It could be either ways.
All right.
You can always fall in love, even after arranged marriage, but it's other way around.
Okay.
It's all the way around. So I am indifferent on that.
All right. One positive and one negative thing about today's Gen Z youth.
Negative. They want everything at a rapid speed, like your rapid fire questions. The positive, and I think so, I respect them, is clarity. They really have a clarity of what they want and how they are going to achieve it. And I think so. I'm sold on
Bang on.
that.
Yeah, bang on. You're absolutely right. One positive and negative thing, what you notice among startup founders in general.
I think so. Positive, and this is basically the underlying is their dedication, their vision. I think so. They are ready to slog it out.
Yeah.
That is something which is there, and they're hooked to it. The negative is, I think so. Somewhere they lose the vision. So, rather than thinking from all angles, I think so. If you are just focused on one part of it, you are going to lose out on certain other important key parameters. I think so. You have to look at the things holistically rather than only one part of it. So, if you are a technical guy, don't just think technical. You have to look at the entire thing because your growth is not just dependent on your technical capability, but everything.
Okay. One positive and one negative thing about the VC industry, VC ecosystem.
Okay, the positive.
Maybe
I think
some of them would hate you for this. Maybe after negative, but it's okay.
No, I'll not say. Means I don't know whether there is a positive or negative, but I'll just say positive is they have the capability to understand and support startup ecosystem. Negative is probably I don't know. This is more about hearsay, so I'll probably just speak what I've heard. Is probably their approach of getting ROI. This is something which probably is hurting startup ecosystem.
Yeah.
So I think so. This is something which I
think which went on for a few years since.
So this is something which probably is a negative, which is obviously heard of, not been part of the core VC ecosystem. So.
All right, got it. Fair enough. All right. So before we wrap up, this is one final question from my end. What advice you would give to your 20-year-old self today?
My 20-year-old.
Yeah. If you were to give your own 20-year-old self an advice, what would you give?
I would only and only say that just move out of your comfort zone. World is beautiful. There are immense opportunities out there. Never step into your comfort zone. Try to evaluate as much as possible. Try to take as much as risk possible, so that you know what is good, what is bad. Where the world is moving and where you can reach. I think so. That's the most important thing.
Okay.
I think so. That's basically for myself.
That's a wonderful thing. All right, great. I think it was a fab conversation. Got to learn quite a lot about your personality. what I try to say it, right, the human behind that investor. So it was great. Thanks a lot, Utpal, for gracing us on this first episode of Level Up. It means a lot to me and to our entire team that you have been here and try to share whatever that you could. And I'm sure with this conversation, with this podcast, many people would be able to level up their game by coming out of their comfort zone, which was probably your underlying message also, that you need to get out of your comfort zone. So thanks a lot, Utpal. It was
thanks, Devansh. I think so. I'll just end up by saying that this has really helped me to introspect myself. I think so. Something which see, you have lived the past. Okay, you are not going to go back time and again. I think so. This is something which I have cherished this moment. That you have really helped me to understand. I think so. I have also leveled up, by being part of this, because now I also have a clarity when I'm talking. This is my thought process, which is
wonderful.
Going to. So thanks, Devansh. I think so. I have really enjoyed the entire episode, and I look forward to be part of any future opportunity.
Great.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. What's up, guys? Before I sign off, I would love to know whether you really liked this video or not. If you did, click on the like button, click on the subscribe button, click on the notification bell so that whenever our video goes live, you are notified first. This would be a really small task for you, but trust me, this would help us a lot in spreading this knowledge world over and helping people level up their knowledge. Signing off, Devansh Lakhani.